Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something that comes up in the comments, and it's something that's quite ignorant. I'll have people who come in and say, "Oh, fighters or marathon runners, they don't care about gaining muscle, right, or gaining strength." Or people try to say that strength isn't a matter of muscle mass, and that's objectively false. I've done tons of videos explaining the leverages involved and why there's discrepancies sometimes between muscle size and strength, but it's usually a result of leverages, usually a result of site enhancement, or a result of people just simply not lifting heavy who have the ability to, who already are strong due to the way they train. But when it comes over to these other topics, that is a statement that I cannot envision any person in 2023 or 2024, depending on what week I release this video, because I'm filming it in early December. So I cannot envision someone taking that position because it is so widely understood in the sports world that marathon runners and triathletes and Tour de France people all benefit from lifting weights. Like it is universally accepted in the top echelons of all sports. Okay, it's universally accepted. And what's fascinating to me is that the same people, I will say, well, hey, why are anabolics and things regulated in these sports? And I'm like, well, because they improve performance. It's like, well, how do they improve performance? By building muscle. And I want to be clear there. That is a point that people miss. That is the mechanism by which they increase performance, because they build muscle tissue. All right, what do you think their medical purpose is? Like, why do you think these things were medically created? Look at what they do in the body. That really is their primary goal. That is what medical doctors made them for. That is what they're good for. That is what they're used in a clinical setting. Yes, some of them have some other minor benefits. Some of them have been found to be somewhat helpful against like breast cancer and things, but they're not the best for it. But those are other minor medical uses. Improving bone density, right, in people with anemia. But generally speaking, they're mainly just there to build lean tissue. Yet these same people will say, oh, yeah, those things give an advantage in all these sports. You don't think lifting weights does? You don't think building muscle from lifting weights gives an advantage, but you think that building muscle from using PEDs gives an advantage? Like, that's a contradiction. Because the PEDs aren't doing a bunch of other stuff. That is how they do it. That's why they give an edge. They're not mystical, magical things. People have really overhyped some of these other supposed benefits. They really have. Because they don't understand what's going on with it. All right. Or they're like, well, yeah, but they might improve glycogen storage in the muscles or whatever to increase it. But that's putting lean tissue in the muscle. Okay. That will make the muscle bigger. You do realize this, right? Okay, good. And weight training does the same thing also. to a slightly different extent and pathway. But yes, they're synergistic in that regard. All right, but back over to the point. They say this, but then they don't realize that all the top fighters strength train. And the heavyweight fighters are better than the lighter weight fighters most of the time. People say, no, they're not the skill. No, I'm talking about the skill. You put a heavyweight fighter who's carrying enough muscle, not because he's fat, to be 2 or 3 weight classes heavier than someone in the same ranking. I'm not talking about taking the best in the world and putting them against an amateur. I'm talking about, on average, professional fighters. I don't care whether it's boxing. I don't care whether it's UFC. All right, I don't care. Muay Thai. You put them in the ring with each other. And they're in the same roughly same skill tier. Either professional or they're, whatever. They're in the same tier of competition. You put the guy who's 2 or 3 weight classes heavier in the ring, what happens? 9 out of 10 times. Not saying there won't be exceptions. 9 out of 10 times who's winning. Okay. Put John Jones in the ring with Conor McGregor, what's happening? Right? I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. So this idea that gaining muscle and gaining strength is not an advantage in these sort of sports is ludicrous. It's delusional. It's something that all the best coaches and experts in the world all know how it works. And when people say this nonsense and they come to channels and pages that are discussing strength training and this stuff and they act like this isn't true, you're just flat wrong. Every expert in the world will tell you you're wrong. The best researchers, the best coaches will all tell you you're wrong. So in most of these sports, remove weight classes and we'll see how quickly that myth disappears in a single year. It will be gone forever. No one will ever repeat that nonsense. You just remove weight classes. Right? That'll be the end of that discussion. It will be over. Because it would be so brutal that most of your lightweights would be so injured they would have to retire. They wouldn't be in a sport for 2 or 3 years. That'd be it. The fighting sports would be over for all lightweights. The injury rate would just be too high. They'd be too destroyed. So, same thing with endurance stuff. All right. We know that weightlifting improves marathon times. What? Gaining muscle from weightlifting improves marathon times. And people say, well, if they're too, well, no, it's a calorie difference. You need to understand the only issue we run into with muscle mass is on the calorie end, and there's a whole science. And again, you can tell people don't study the science or what the experts do in endurance sports. They don't look at what my bro Beata does, who wrote The Hybrid Athlete, who does ultra marathons while weighing over 200 pounds lean. Okay. They don't look at any of the work of these people who literally discuss how to work around the calorie limits for an endurance event using the best known science of the GI tract, because that's your limit. Okay, that is your limit on endurance, is purely an energy turnover equation. Okay, once you're conditioned enough to do it. But that's the issue, is calories, not the muscle itself. They have the endurance to do ultra marathons, be ripped and massive, as long as they can get the energy and the calories to complete the event. That's the hard part. Okay, so that's nonsense. But we know it improves marathon times. We know big time it improves sprinting times, 5K times. That's been known for 50 years. The best sprinters in the world all do heavy squats. There's a reason for it. So these ideas are just ludicrous. They're absolutely ludicrous, and the fact that people even repeat them is so profoundly ignorant that I can't believe I have to address this still. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.